Thank you, Wendy. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce to you tonight Nancy Newman, who is the founder of IANGEL. She's currently a partner at Hanson Bridget LLP in San Francisco, where she specializes in real estate and commercial litigation. As an attorney, Nancy has worked with other women lawyers to promote gender equity through Queen's Bench, which is a women's bar association in San Francisco Bay Area. And she has expanded its influence on legislative and policy initiatives and collaborated with other bar, professional, and women's organizations to strengthen the movement for equality in law and society. Nancy has been speaking and networking and advocating for gender equality in law and society for 25 years. In 2013, she founded the International Action Network for Gender Equity and Law to harness the power of pro bono legal services and to connect its projects to advance gender equality locally, nationally, and globally. Nancy's powerful leadership and commitment to equality is inspired by her mother and grandmothers and rooted in her determination to leave a better world for her daughters. Nancy, thank you. We're so glad you're here. So, can you take us back to 2013 when IANGEL started? And why did you start the organization and what need were you trying to address?
Well, thanks so much, Colleen, for having me. And thank you so much to Together Women Rise for supporting our work and giving us this forum to explain what we do. I'm really honored and pleased to be with you. IANGEL was formed by a combination of a number of factors. I'm a lawyer in a law firm, and for the first 20 years or so of my practice, I did a lot of pro bono work, but the pro bono work that I had the opportunity to do was always poverty law, very important for lawyers to do, to represent poor people that can't afford legal services. And I did a lot of that work, and it's great work, but it's local and it's needs-based. And as I got older, my tolerance for the slow progress on gender equality was diminishing. I wanted to be more involved in rights work, not just needs work. And when I led the National Conference of Women's Bar Associations, I got women's bar associations involved in international work and had the opportunity to connect with women lawyers in other countries working on gender justice initiatives. And I found that just incredibly inspiring and exhilarating to work with women in other countries. And I realized that we have so much more in common than we have differences across borders, across oceans, across cultures. And I wanted to do more of that work. So I sought out opportunities to do more of that work. And I found them very hard to find. I was looking for an organization that I could just plug into and donate my skills as a lawyer to advance gender justice. And I literally looked for years, like 10 years, and reluctantly came to the conclusion that I guess I have to form this organization myself. That was not my original intent, but I had this sense of a moral obligation because pretty much everybody I knew believed that in gender equality, believed that women can do anything men can do, and women should have full rights to participate in society. And lawyers all over, pretty much every lawyer I know believes this, and many would happily donate their time to address the injustice in the world if they had an opportunity to do so. But they just did not know how to plug in. There wasn't an easy way to get involved. And it just seemed like there's all this intelligence and power and passion and drive that was on the sidelines, and we have to get it off the sidelines and into the game, because, as Jessica said, the world is backsliding. It's going backwards on gender equality. And I am convinced there's more of us than there are of them. There are more people that believe in peace and justice than there are on the other side. But the other side is well-financed and well-organized and marching in lockstep, and our side is kind of all over the place. So IANGEL was formed to provide a way for lawyers to network across borders and work together on gender justice initiatives, and find inspiration and more power through the work that we do together.
All right, let's take us now to, International Women's Day 2024. What's your core mission and objectives? And I'm curious what countries you work in too.
So the core mission remains the same: to advance gender justice locally, nationally, and globally through pro bono power, and allowing people to connect and amplify voices. We do that through education, advocacy, and facilitating the engagement of pro bono lawyers in projects that advance gender equality. When we were formed, since we were formed in 2013, we've worked in a number of different countries with we connect directly with advocates or lawyers or NGOs in certain countries on issues where we can connect together and advance common goals. So we've worked in a number of countries, but we're very small. So right now, our work focuses in the United States on reproductive justice and, rejoining the struggle for basic personal autonomy and reproductive liberty. And internationally, our work is focused on Afghanistan, which is the single most egregious place in the world to be female. It's horrible. And there's a lot of work to be done, and that's where we're focused.
And that's the project that we're supporting. RISE is supporting specifically the Afghan women and girls. And we've been horrified to see what's happened to women and girls in Afghanistan since Taliban took over again. So can you, before we get into our specific project of what we're doing with RISE, can you just talk a little bit more about daily life for women in Afghanistan right now? What's been the impact on their freedom of movement, access to public spaces, or even just public life in Afghanistan?
There is no more public life for women in Afghanistan. It's gone. I mean, that's just we can read about rights being taken away. You can read, okay, they banned education for girls above the age above 6th grade, and they said women can't go to universities. So you can read about that and you can think, oh, that's terrible. But that one issue right there, among many, is worth pausing and considering the impact that had. One edict, and millions of girls stopped in their tracks. They were, they wanted, like the girl in the video, I want to be a designer. They have hopes and dreams and futures. And all of a sudden, oh, not for you. You can't learn. You are stuck. And when we first started our work on the legal analysis, our task was to analyze the 55 edicts against women and girls' rights, and now there's 107. So it is a daily deprivation of the right to education, the right to work. Women are allowed to beg, but they're not allowed to run businesses. They're not allowed to be lawyers. They're not allowed to operate a trade. They don't have access to justice. They don't have the right to travel without being accompanied by a male guardian. Mind you, I mean, if you want to know how really stupid this is, like if a woman has a 6-year-old son, she can travel. but not without that 6-year-old son, you know, like it's crazy. So of course that also impacts the right to health care. You know, if you can't, men can't treat women, women have to be treated by women doctors, but there aren't very many women doctors. Women who are widows don't have a mahram to accompany them. What are they supposed to do? Like they suffer tremendous rates of gender-based violence, no access to justice, no way to be heard, high suicide rates, highest maternal mortality rates in the world, highest child mortality rates in the world. If you don't have health care, you can't travel, you don't have access. No right to play sports, of course, no right to go to a park, like it goes on and on. These people wake up in the morning and rack their brains to think, is there any piece of humanity remaining that women and girls can enjoy? Let's take it away. It's that bad. It's a systematic subjugation of half the population. It's an organized institutional framework, and that's why we call it gender apartheid. It is the erasure of women and girls from the right to be human beings.
So let's talk specifically about what Together Women Rise is funding, the project called Powering Hope. I understand that there are 3 components of this project. So can you walk us through these different components and what you hope to accomplish with this?
So certainly, first, we support underground education for girls and women. There are remarkably brave women in Afghanistan who are determined to keep teaching despite the bans. They do so at great risk to themselves. When we first, we've been at this a year and 9 months or so. We first connected, and I was so concerned. Communicating with these women on, texting and I, be safe, be careful. I worry because she's sending me pictures, and she's like, "This is where she said, I have to do this. That I have, we are like a bird in a cage, and we have to do this. If I die because I'm teaching girls and women, so be it. I won't live any other way." Remarkable bravery. So we support these schools. We help them buy materials, pay their teachers, pay their rent. And we amplify their voices. And you heard a lot of their voices on the video. They don't want the world to forget. They say the world has forgotten about us. Don't forget. And so we play a role in amplifying their voices. Our bridge project is taking it another step further. Because we are lawyers, we connect with other lawyers. We know that there is a tremendous power inside of Afghanistan of women lawyers who are not allowed to practice law. These are accomplished, smart, capable women, trial lawyers. They prosecuted gender-based violence before the Taliban took over. Taliban took over and said they can't practice law anymore. And not only that, but they opened up the jails and let the abusers out, the people that they had prosecuted. Sorry, I have a motion detector on my light here. And feel free, they told the men they released to feel free to go kill the lawyer that put you there. So a lot of these women are living in fear and isolation. And IANGEL, we have a small group. We're connecting with them. We meet with them regularly, uh, uh, providing support, providing opportunities to connect with other Afghan women lawyers and judges outside, engaging them in supporting their own communities, for women experiencing gender-based violence. So that's our bridge project, building real interactions to drive gender equality. And then the third component is really trying to do something about it through the international community. The United States policy has been singularly ineffective in changing what the Taliban do. It hasn't changed materially in years, and that can't go on. If it's not working, fix it. And so we are collaborating with Afghan women's rights defenders and pro bono lawyers to do the research, to put together the pieces to shift the international dialogue and the national policy on Afghanistan. We need more accountability. We need to stop trying to talk to the Taliban and realize they are terrorists. We can't support terrorists. We have to stop the flow of money to them, and we have to amend the United Nations Convention on Crimes Against Humanity to include gender apartheid. It's time. That's what we're working on.
Fantastic. And that leads me to the next question, because your work is crucial for advancing women's rights and access to legal support. So can you elaborate a little bit on the challenges faced by women in Afghan, especially in terms of legal rights and representation? Because it sounds like it's evaporating.
Pardon my French, but it sucks. I mean, they really, they don't have an effective access to justice because, women can't get to the court. If they get to the court to make a complaint, well, they won't be allowed in if they don't have a male guardian. If they're the victim of abuse by their husband, good luck with that, on getting the husband to accompany them. If they get another man to accompany them, they will be asked, well, is he your husband? And if not, she won't be allowed in. And even if she's allowed in, by the way their law is set up, she won't be listened to or heard or allowed to testify I mean, it's, or they will say it's her fault. And if you don't have a man, well, we'll marry you to a Taliban, to a Talib fighter. So that is a good way to discourage women from ever trying to seek justice. And it's inhuman and degrading, and it has to stop. And our tax dollars are supporting this because a lot of money from the U.S. is going through USAID into Afghanistan for humanitarian support, but it is intercepted by the Taliban, and the Taliban take their cut. And so the real challenge here is finding ways to get funds into Afghanistan that don't continue to empower the Taliban.
So another question, because you talked about safety and your video was very impactful. Is there a concern about the safety for the women and the girls that were actually in that video? I mean, especially the women that are running the underground school.
There is. There is. I mean, it's dangerous. We deal with the security issue as best we can, taking our cue from them. We use pseudonyms when we refer to them. The bridge group all have pseudonyms. We have a little chart so that we can keep track of who is who. Some of them have multiple pseudonyms. So their voices are there, their photos. They want us they want the world to hear their voices. They want the world to see the photos. They want the world to not forget them. There were a number of photos in the video of artwork from
Yes.
teenage girls in these underground schools. Remarkably powerful artwork. I am struck by those images. But that and it has not been safe, but they take the risk because they believe in what they're doing. One of the teachers that we support was arrested last year. She was imprisoned. She was tortured for a month. She nearly died. Afterwards, we said, it's not worth your life. But she's back at it. She would not, she was out for, she recovered. She got healthcare through the underground network. And she just says, I can't leave she calls them her daughters, the street children that she works with. But that underscores the lawlessness of this regime. This is not about religion. This is not about religion. This is misogyny. This is gender apartheid. This is lawless men with guns who are determined to erase women in every aspect of life and society. Has to stop. We have to do more about it.
On that note, my last question, because I want to have questions that have come into Wendy. Give us you just talked about a teacher, but have you got another personal story about an individual that has been specifically impacted by your work in Afghanistan?
I would say, our lead on the bridge project, she is just a most remarkable person. Speaks multiple languages and she has felt like a lone voice out in the world. She's raising the flag and sounding the alarm. She's a talented journalist. She's written in publications all over the world under a lot of different names, I will say. And when I connected with her, it's a source of light in the darkness. It's a source of hope. I read what she wrote. I wanted to connect with her, and now we have this bridge group, and we have women who were judges in Afghanistan who have joined from outside and want to be part of the group to talk to those who are still inside. The women inside are isolated, but and in despair, I would say, but our connection with them is a way to say, we're with you.
We know you're here.
The world is watching, we're supporting, and we can help them help others and stay connected to the work that they do, using the skills that they have. Even if a abused woman could get a male lawyer, the societal features are such that it's hard for them to even explain what is going on. But women lawyers know how to take statements. They know how to make records. They know how to foster, to make a record for accountability and a record for the international community of what's going on. So that's the project that we're doing. And we're going to meet with them tomorrow for International Women's Day, a group of former Afghan lawyers, judges in Pakistan, Afghanistan, US, and meeting with the same women inside. And we have to address whether this is an issue for whether we celebrate or mourn.
Yeah.
It's a little of both, but
Right.
I would say I am so honored to be connected to these women. They are strong, they are remarkable, they are inspiring, and we all gain that inspiration from doing this work.
Mhm. Thank you so much. Wendy,
Sorry, it's over. We're over time.
I know, but this is so important. And it's what we can do as individuals to help. Our donations make the difference in women's lives and girls. But
Absolutely.
yeah. Wendy, what other questions
Yeah,
do
I'm
you
gonna,
want?
we'll go to a couple of the questions and then we'll have to move to our wrap up, but I do want to
Yeah.
get to some of them. This is the first question, and I don't know whether anyone can really answer this, and it really struck me when you were talking about how women can only go to female doctors. Well, women can't be educated as doctors anymore.
Right.
So if only female doctors can treat females, who is going to treat women in the future? And as I said,
Nobody.
yeah,
This is exactly, I mean, or what the communities that have no women doctors, like die, you know, you'll just, I mean, this is a tragedy, but it's also, it shows you how this policy is, what the Taliban are doing is not sustainable.
Mhm.
No other country in the world has such policies. It's stupid. You know, you can't erase half your population and expect to survive as a regime. So our job is to make this regime's time shorter. I don't know when it will end, but we have to keep it in the public view and increase international pressure for accountability and change.
well, just on that note, I would encourage everybody to go to our social media, to that of iAngel, and share our post. International Women's Day tomorrow was a great day to bring to light these kinds of issues happening around the world. If everybody would just share our post about the incredible work iAngel is doing, share the recording of this video when it comes out tomorrow. That's how we can help individually to keep these women so that they're not forgotten. That's my little spiel. But another question, can international courts intervene in any way to help women in Afghanistan?
That's a great question, because I've been wanting to be involved in that. I was thinking, sue their asses. Not that easy, because the courts, the international courts, don't really have. Afghanistan is not part of any of the official systems. There are pending complaints in the International Criminal Court against the members of the Haqqani network with investigations going back for years and years. And part of what we're going to be looking at is there a way to re-energize those investigations and bring in some of the people who are issuing the edicts now. We're looking at that, but you know, the Americas has the International Court of the Americas, and that's a human rights court, and people can sue there. But there isn't an equivalent for Afghanistan. There isn't really a court that includes Afghanistan as a territory for international litigation. We've looked. But individuals could be held conceivably accountable. But even, you know, our project to name and shame the people who are issuing the edicts, too easy to hide behind the term Taliban. We want to get their names out there and make sure that all of their rights in the international community are curtailed. The whole world needs to turn their back on these humans that are doing this.
Absolutely. You mentioned there's a question about whether Afghani women here in the US can help you. And I think you are working with
Yeah,
Afghani women here.
that we are. we connect organically. I mean, it's really heartening and wonderful. One of our board members is a Pakistani feminist human rights scholar, and she knew an Afghan woman judge who's also working at Berkeley Law's Human Rights Clinic, and she connected us to her. And then she in turn connected us to her sister in Pakistan. And like and we just got a new Afghan woman lawyer from another law school in the US. There's a lot of interest and people want to help. We're small, but there's a lot of power in this group, and I'm looking forward to checking in with them all tomorrow and keeping it going, and appreciate the support from Together Women Rise, because the funds are desperately needed. You know, the pressures on them. You know, I think we have maybe 9 women in our bridge group, and they are responsible for 57 family members. Like, there's a lot there. These women who could used to earn a living can, you know, have children and family members and they're the stress is really very, very high. So we're honored to keep them in the game and work with them.
I think that's all the time we have for
Yeah, I know.
Colleen, unfortunately.
I would, and it's not here. It's just 6 o'clock, but I know it's getting late on the East Coast. Nancy, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for your work. Thank you for caring, and thanks for making a better world for all of us, your daughters and all of us. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for honoring IANGEL with this grant. It will go very far in Afghanistan. So thank you.
Excellent.